Hey there, I'm Andy. I'm here for Steinberg, on behalf of Steinberg, and we're here at Absolute Music, and we're here to check out some of the new features in Cubase 7.5. So check out the links and the videos. Hope you enjoy them. So for those of you that have used Cubase for a couple of generations now, when I say generations, I mean versions, you'll be aware that Cubase contained a fairly juicy convolution reverb, and that is reverence. So if we have a look at it here, let me just load it up. You can see the interface there. So reverence gave us lots of different presets and I guess lots of different possibilities to have our recordings simulated in different spaces. So a convolution reverb's where guys go out into different rooms and they measure impulses. So the amount of time it takes for something like a hand clap to go out and hit the back room and come back to the position. But when it comes to an algorithmic reverb, it's guys that are actually programming different reverbs. So if we open up Revelation, you can see we've got a brand new user interface here and loads of different options in terms of giving us different spaces to work with in our recordings. So if you have a look at the left-hand side, we've got early reflection. So these are one of the most important facets of a reverb because early reflections give us some idea of the room that we're recording in. So these are the first reflections, so the amount of time it takes for my hand to bounce off, say, the glass in your recording room or different surfaces in the actual room itself. As we move to the left, you can see that we can control the parameters of the early reflections down here. So we can put a low cut, a high cut, so very handy if we think the reverb's a bit too bright and it sounds a little bit too unnatural. We can move through there. We can control the size of the early reflection as well. And then down the bottom, one of the most important things is the tail, so the decay of the actual reverb itself. So as we move through there, we can actually delay the start time of the tail. We can change the room size. So large room size will be the cathedral type simulations. And then as we come down, you'll have the smaller room size to plates. The main time, pretty obvious, it speaks for itself. The shape and then the density. So the density, this is where we can mix in between early reflection and the actual tail itself. And then between more of a mono reverb through to a stereo reverb. And of course the mix is the amount that we're putting in. So if you were to put it over the top of a track itself, you'd probably have the mix quite low. But the way I generally set it up would be to have say my vocals or my drums and everything on a separate send. So I send it over to another channel and then I create a plugin for that, so in this case Revelation, and then quite often after that I might compress the reverb or put a low cut on the reverb and then just add a few other things post the reverb setting. So most importantly is how does it actually sound. So let's go to our vocals. You can probably hear it better at the start here. So
line, walking in a straight line,
so turn the send up.
Looking at the timeline, rolling on below. I'm with the people, all the lonely people.
So I'm just going to go through some presets.
Looking at the timeline, rolling on below.
Let's go find a studio sound.
I'm with the people, all the lonely people, moving on as one, keeping me in tow. And on this same line, things that should
so very short
be
reverb.
right, keep me up at night. You're adding to my load. I'm on the main line, walking in a straight line, looking at the things.
Okay, so you can see I've just scrolled through some different presets there. Just to give you another idea, let's put it over the top of drums. I wouldn't always put a kick drum through a reverb, but just to give you some idea of how it sounds on different instruments.
Looking at the timeline, I already know.
So this is dry.
I'm on the same street, shuffling with the same feet, marching to the same beat, moving to and fro.
Maybe bring the room down a bit.
I'm not certain, I wish I could be certain.
So you can see the difference already. It just adds a little bit of atmosphere and I guess a different environment to the sound that we've recorded at the source. So be it drums, vocals, maybe you want to put a reverb over the top of your Hammond or your piano. It just gives us so many different options to once again shape the sound to get a more realistic sound out of the production that we're recording. So I guess a little bit of reverence, but also the brand new Algorithmic Reverb revelation.